welcome to my show called Inspired Blessings with Mary Prince. And I want to welcome my guest, Mary Truglio, and in which she's going to be cooking another cooking segment, which is great because this is one of my favorites because I always love to eat. The reason why I'm having this cooking segment is because our body is the temple for the Holy Spirit, and God tells us that we should be, really taking care of the temple, and by doing that is to be eating healthy. And today I have somebody who's Italian.
Italian,
right?
yes.
And sometimes you can think of Italian food, really, is that healthy? So we're going to see how we can make this a healthy meal.
Absolutely.
So Mary.
Well, I thank you, Jean Marie, for having me on your show today. I'm excited to get started and teach everyone out there how to make a great, healthy meal, Italian style. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a homemade marinara sauce.
Okay.
With fresh tomatoes, fresh plum tomatoes, and we're going to do some basil, we're going to do garlic, some onion in that, and maybe add a little crushed hot pepper, because hot pepper also helps to burn up some fat as we use that. So I'm going to get started by pouring some olive oil into the pan, and
Any particular olive oil that you use?
I like extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
Is what I like to use, and I like a lot of it. When I do make this, though, I'm going to chop some garlic now. But what I do like to do is use whole garlics every
Right.
so often, so I'm going to throw a little whole. When I grew up with my grandmother, who was from Sicily, my grandfather, Palermo, and Messina, they always used whole garlics, but I'm also going to put some chopped garlic in.
Right. Now, I believe that olive oil is supposed to be good for your body.
Well, it's very good for our body. It's actually very healthy, and it digests very well. Extra virgin is actually even better for the body. So we're going to throw the garlic in. I might just use a little bit more of the more garlic, the better.
Now,
you don't have to necessarily eat this garlic when it's on your plate, but it does for a good flavor.
Now, I've heard that garlic is supposed to be also good in certain ways for your health.
Well, garlic, yes. Garlic is actually like a antibiotic for the body.
Okay.
It keeps the blood pressure down. So to me, the more the merrier.
Okay.
As long as you can withstand that much garlic after you eat it. But
Well, what about your partner?
Well, as I'm saying, your breath and all, but it's very, very healthy. And what I'm also going to do is throw in some chopped onions, which I have already prepared. I'm going to throw that in.
Okay. So you already got the pan sizzling.
Nice and sizzling. I'm not one shy of olive oil.
Okay.
You got to love to cook with the good stuff.
Right.
And it doesn't hurt to put more of any of these ingredients into your dish that we're making now or any time that you really use it.
Right. Now, you like to make your own sauce versus buying a can or a jar?
Well, I do the canned sauce, which I think is good, and it's wonderful. Some good cans out there. But when you're going to do a homemade marinara sauce, I do tend to use the plum tomatoes.
Yes.
So I have some chopped up, as you can see. So now I'm going to place that into the pan.
Right.
I'm going to allow this to all stew. And let it, eventually, it's going to wilt itself down. It's going to take on all the flavors. I want to make sure I haven't messed anything up.
Now, I had heard that tomatoes were supposed to be good in certain ways too, right?
It's antioxidants. Tomatoes are excellent for the body. Now I'm going to take some salt and put some salt in that.
Is that like a sea salt?
Yes, I use the kosher salt.
Okay, why is that?
It's a little harder grain.
Okay.
And it just gives, to me personally, it's the best flavor.
Oh, really?
It's a thicker granite, but of salt, but it does really, it enhances the food for me tremendously.
Right.
And I'll throw some pepper in that.
Yeah.
Fresh pepper.
I put peppers on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So now we also have our pot of oil boiling.
It smells good already.
I know, it should be very nice in the rain. It's going to be lovely.
I'm going to make sure not to eat on camera as much as the first time I did it.
Well, I hear that you enjoy your food.
I do enjoy very much.
But
my camera people kind of said that I ate too much, so I have to just
So now what I'm going to try to do is, as you do this, you're going to go into the tomatoes, and you're going to allow the tomatoes. You're going to help it along a little bit.
Right.
You take this and you help it along. And while that's cooking, we could...
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact of the chunkiness. I know some people don't like the the chunky tomatoes and things like that. But I love this.
Yeah, and what you
marinara
can
type.
do, which some people do, is they take the tomatoes and they boil them in water. And then they boil them and they peel the skin off.
Right.
To me, I like the whole tomato.
Right.
You could do that. That's another way of using your fresh tomatoes if you don't like the skin. But to me,
Pasta did you choose?
well, I chose a healthy pasta with less starch.
Okay.
This pasta here is a really good brand. Okay, it's the Dream Field. It's got 5 grams of fiber, 7 grams of protein, and it's because too much starch is no good for the body either. If you
Right.
notice, if you have pastas that have a lot of starch in it, guarantee you after you eat it, you're going to tend to be sluggish and tired. You'll see the difference. Sometimes
Well-
people should try to compare it,
Right.
and you'll find yourself, because there's so much sugar in it, which is what the sugar does. It breaks down the body, and it causes you to either get very sluggish and tired and
Right.
weak right away.
Well, I understand that with carbs, with breads, things like that, is that they tend to digest very easily and very fast. So what happens is it spikes your insulin, and then it starts to come crashing down. That you start to get the jitters that you need to have more carbs again, more sugar. So that's why it's better to always have a low glycemic type of.
Exactly, low glycemic, and that's exactly what you need if you're going to consider choosing to be able to still eat Italian food and have it healthy for you.
Right.
There's a lot of different varieties of pastas out there that have
Right.
that ingredient,
Right.
less of the carb,
Right.
in there.
But I think also is that we
There's a
in
strong
America tend
breakdown.
to supersize everything. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think, so if you can, moderation, sometimes I wish I knew how to do that myself, but.
Well, when you come from, you would come from a lot of our backgrounds, our heritage. We love to, in America, we love to eat. When you go to Italy, which I've been before, foods are a lot different. It's a lot lighter in some ways, but America has made some of the Italian foods a lot heavier, But when you go to certain parts of Italy, everything is a lot lighter than you would expect.
Yeah, I heard that they don't really, some of them, parts of Italy don't even use like a red sauce, right? It's not like, we think of tomatoes, we think
They
of
would do more
tomato
of a fresh
sauce.
tomato sauce.
Okay.
Everything is fresh. Even their pizzas that they serve are very thin.
Thin, yeah.
It's not
That's
what
how
we
I
have
like that as
here.
well.
Yeah. See
Yeah.
how it's starting to break down
Right.
now? And that'll break down and cook. You just have to.
Now, the fact that you were nervous to do the cooking show, because you kind of always, you wanted to always do a cooking
Sure.
show, but you feared. So when I had asked you,
Yeah.
you were kind of like, I'd love to, but I'm kind of scared and so on. So tell me why were you,
Well, it's like anything else, you want to, you have these desires and visions of what you want to do, but you always get apprehensive and you have this fear that sets in, thinking, it's not going to turn out right. But, in life, if we always fear, then we tend to never do. But then we tend to miss a moment, and it's going to be here and gone, and you say, why not, But you can't allow fear to set your course in life.
Oh, I
God
agree.
says God says for us not to fear. He says, we trust in Him, and I trusted in Him that this would go well, and this is an opportunity I wanted to do, always wanted to do something like this. So why not? But I had to put my faith and trust in the Lord.
Right.
That He would get me through this segment, and I'm actually enjoying every bit of it.
See that?
So this is lovely.
I have a blog on JeanMariePrince.com, and basically I have a one that says, fear can cripple even the strongest man, and because, the thing is that you're right. It says, I have it in there that God tells you that you shouldn't fear because He's your creator. All things are possible, with God. And being here, I'll keep on having to, you'll see me saying that on a lot of the shows, because of the fact that, it's just amazing what God can have you
God
do.
says to fear not, because I am with you. So if we trust in the Lord, and we choose to put Him in our lives, our trust relies in Him.
Right.
He gives us our strength. He gives us everything that we need to pursue our lives. And
Yeah,
but when we get fearful, that's when we know we're in the will of God.
right,
We're not in the will of God, because God says, He says it many times in the Bible, not to fear.
right. I actually broke down the word fear, and the way I kind of put it on my blog was that if you allow Satan to control your fear, then realize this is what it has become. Take F would then be frightening, all right? E would be entrapped, A would be agitating, and R is restricted. All right, that's how you could break down the fear. If you let Satan,
Yes.
Yeah,
you're
and-
allowing Satan to take over your life.
right. But if you
Not-
and if you allow Jesus to take control of your fear, then you can realize what it can be, which would be F for freedom, E for escaped, A for accomplished, and R for released. you know?
Well, these
so.
are things that we need to know and exercise in our lives in order for us to be able to walk forward and do all these wonderful things that God has put on this earth for us to do.
Right.
But we tend to control ourselves, and our own mind gets in the way, and it tends to keep us from
Enjoying
life and having the joy.
The
and
dreams, your
dreams,
visions
yeah.
of what you wanted
We're
to
supposed
do.
to be in the joy of the Lord every day.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You know, you don't rely on the flesh, you rely on the Lord. I just put some salt in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring this back up again. I'm going to throw a pasta in because everything else is really going to take very quick. It's going to cook quickly. The asparagus doesn't take long. The chicken will cook quick. So while this is boiling, I'm going to get some, I'm going to throw 2 pounds of this in because I know there's some hungry people in our audience today that are
Yes.
wanting to eat. So.
Yeah, well, one box is for me and the other box is for them,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we said.
You know, it's funny because I tend to not put salt in my water. My daughter now, wants salt in the water.
Well-
and I guess because sometimes I try to stay away from so much salt, but why the reason in
Well-
with pasta?
Because it'll give it the flavor. Like you won't have to sometimes if you put it in the water, you don't have to add it extra at the table.
Okay.
You don't really want to add any salt once you're sitting at the table.
Okay.
You put it in your water. I could have put olive oil in it, which olive oil can break up the pasta from sticking together, but I tend to like to put the salt to give it a little bit more flavor. So then maybe you don't need as much grated cheese. See how
Right.
this is coming down to a nice consistency?
Right. I used to put olive oil in there instead of water, and just to
Yeah,
stop
the
it
olive
from
oil
sticking.
stops it from sticking. Yeah.
Is that okay?
So I'm going to put this back on. This should be ready to go soon. It won't
Okay.
take that long. And we'll bring up the heat again. Well, this is like more of, I would say, I grew up Sicilian. You know, my mother's Irish and my father's Italian. And I grew up Sicilian. And my grandmother, they made the big, heavy, thick sauces with the meat and all the brajol and all that. But my favorite sauce is a marinara sauce. And my grandmother taught me how to make it with the fresh tomatoes. I mean, basically, they jarred them. They used to jar their own tomatoes. We always ate very healthy in my grandmother's home. We ate a lot of food, though. Family would come out, we had a lot of food on the table. So there was, in our family, there was no reason not to starve yourself,
Right.
no reason to say you're starved. All right, so now I have some chicken here that I have already cut up.
Right.
I'm going to cut this other piece up.
Okay. So while you're doing that,
And do
I
one
know that you have your family, you have
Yes.
you have children, right?
little salt.
Now,
I have one daughter.
right now, the thing is that I understand that with your daughter, did you fear adopting her? Because I understand that you had adopted her.
Yes, I adopted my daughter, and it's a
Going
big
through the
jour-
process,
It's
I
a big
mean-
journey. It was a big journey that I was on, and my husband and I couldn't have any children,
Okay.
so we tried some in vitro, and it didn't work for us. But I just want to cut this up, and so what I did was I always wanted to adopt since I was a little girl.
Okay.
And I tend to, so when I realized that I couldn't have any children, I figured maybe this is time to adopt. But I had a sister, her name was Lisa, and she unfortunately died in a really tragic car accident.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so it's about 14 years now. But the day before she died, this is how what I should say first is God's hand in your life. When you trust in the Lord, no matter even if it's a bad situation
Right.
or a good situation, there's always something good that can come out of something tragic. You may not have wanted, it's almost a bittersweet situation,
Sure.
always a bittersweet. But I had to look at that this was the death. My sister's not here anymore. But the day before she died, she gave me an adoption agency to call.
Okay.
And she says, make sure you call and don't procrastinate. So, and I'm going to put this chicken in and let
Right.
that start cooking.
Sure.
Okay, because I want us to be able to have this food in time. So I'm going to let that go.
So with this type of meal too, you can be able to put any type of, whether shrimp, whether it's anything, right? What
Oh, you can do
mainly
shrimp in
chicken,
this?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, you can do shrimp. I'm going to take some basil. So with that, when my sister did pass away, I decided, it took about a year, because at that time, we had to tend to take care of her life and clean up what was left.
Right.
But, so I'm going to use some fresh basil.
Let me see. Okay, figure that
I
one
like
out.
to leave the basil whole, as much whole as, because in a marinara sauce, you should feel and taste the basil.
Right.
It shouldn't be chopped small as if you were doing a regular sauce, a thicker sauce.
Right.
So with that, my sister, ironically, she gave me the adoption agency to call the day before she died. And I couldn't do that because she was gone. But a year to her death, I was deciding and actually crying out to the Lord, asking him, you know, I have a husband, I have a home, what else do I do with my life?
Right.
You know, so with that, I actually went and met a friend at Borders, and I was listening to a Christian radio station about children that need to be adopted from Bulgaria, but this is almost a year to her death.
Okay.
So then all of a sudden, I knew I heard God say, go. This is it for you. You know, this is it. So I knew right away, I wrote the phone number down that they were giving out. I called, and there was a little girl that needed to be adopted from Bulgaria. But I look at it like as if, you know, one life had to be taken for me to have this joy in my life. That's why I always
Sure.
knew that the joy that my daughter has given me, and even steps in the way, and many steps after that, getting my daughter and going to the country that she was from Bulgaria.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say, were you having any kind of fear?
No,
at all?
I knew immediately. I knew
Okay.
immediately this is what I had to do. This was a calling from the Lord.
Sure.
This, you know, you say to yourself, from a little child, I had asked to adopt.
Right.
So it's almost like prophetically, God just knew that that was always going to be my destiny.
Right.
You know, so, but you have to see the hand of God in things. You can't just always, you know, when things happen in our lives, we have to say, Lord, what are you trying to say to me? What are you
Right.
trying to do?
Right.
What do you want from, you know, from this? And it's
Right.
always to do the will of God.
Sure.
So then my daughter needed a life, and she, I want to get another cutting board for this. And she needed, you know, so one life was saved that way. I know my
Right.
sister is in heaven enjoying life,
Right.
you know, with the Lord. And
Now, did you
so
always have such faith?
I think so. I think as a little child, I think God's hand was upon me for many years.
Right.
And I just always felt like God was always with me, you know, he was always with me. And yeah, I was raised, you know, I was raised Catholic, but I accepted the Lord at 18 years old as my Lord and Savior. I understood what it meant to have a relationship with the Lord,
Right.
you know, and from that moment on, it just changed my life tremendously. You know, I understood what relationship meant, you know.
Right.
So when things do come about and things that hurt me or family or, you know, stuff that we go through in life, we can rely on the Lord to get us through it all. And, you know, who would ever think that, you know, my sister's life would be taken for me? This is the way I
Right.
was going to wind up having to have a child
Right.
through adoption, you know. And, but it's been the most wonderful gift in my life.
Sure. And it was a way also for you to be able to keep the promise that, you know, that your sister said, please don't forget to call. You know?
Yeah, you
so,
know-
So it was good that she kind of gave you that,
Well, yeah, I
sense
think
of
that
pushing.
God prepares all of us. The Holy Spirit lives in us. He prepares us. He prepares us for that time.
Right.
So I took a couple of asparagus.
sure.
Back to the cooking.
I love asparagus too.
Now before, as I may not be washing it now, but I washed everything beforehand. So before you even prepare your food, everything should be fully rinsed. Everything should be fully rinsed. And
Now, how are you going to have this pasta? Al dente?
okay, you could try
Yeah.
it in a minute. You could actually put it on that little dish. I'll give you a fork. And
Yeah,
so you could
I
either
tend to like
break an
it al dente,
asparagus,
too.
just so you know, you can break an asparagus like this. When you do that, that tells you the good part of the asparagus.
Right.
I tend to cut it off at times because I like to put a little angle at it. So as soon as I'm done here, I don't want to lower this just a little bit more.
Right. So this
So-
you
so-
probably want to take off because it'll sit and it'll still cook. Like,
So the more the merriest.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have it plain, the sauce. You could have it very plain, which the asparagus is not cooperating too well.
right.
That's okay.
I think I'm going to shut this off for you.
Yeah, how do you think? That
Well,
tastes
because it's
good?
going to sit too, you know. So I think you should probably strain it.
So it's like nice and hearty. You see the healthy, you have the greens
Yeah.
in here, and anytime you see
Looks
green,
delicious.
it's wonderful. You've got you got your asparagus, you got your chicken, you have your tomatoes,
Right.
all the healthy things.
Okay. That's great.
You know, years ago when the Lord was on the earth, what did we have? They didn't have half the processed foods that we have today.
I know. Right.
And if we could go back to eating the way God has designed us to eat, you know, we see a lot different in our bodies. We'd be a lot healthier.
Right.
Like I said, I hope everybody out there
Oh, I'm
really
sure they
realizes
will.
how easy it is to make this dish.
The salad.
I'm gonna do the
just
salad.
Because, time-wise.
So that's the story of my, basically how my adoption for my daughter, Nadia. There were so many other things that unfolded,
Yeah,
so
just
many
leave it.
other events that, unfolded
Right.
with my adoption as I started the process of adopting Nadia and seeing God's hand in that, and even my sister's, memorial that they had for her. And like one little simple thing was they called her the Precinct Rose. She was a New York City police officer.
Okay.
Her name was Lisa. And so, everything was about a rose. They put a rose near her face. They put that the picture they had hanging up there, everything was this Precinct
Right,
Rose, they
right.
called her. So when I got to Bulgaria, they're known for their rose water.
Oh, okay.
So everything, so you could see,
Wow.
but I look at it
Yeah.
as like God stepping, you're giving you confirmation.
Sure.
That you're in the right place, at the right time, that.
Well,
that's-
lovely daughter. I've met her.
You met Nadia,
Nadia,
right?
yeah, very
Okay,
nice.
so this was clean, the chicken, you don't need to eat all the rest
She
of
was
the
helping
chicken.
me a little in the beginning because trying to do this TV show, not being familiar with how to do
Yes,
editing.
she was
So
looking
she
to
was
do
kind
that
enough.
with
I
you
came
and-
over one night and met with her. Very nice.
So now what we're going to do here is I'm going to take this pasta, though. Well, we could leave that there for now, I think. I think we'll leave the pasta there for now. I'm going to take this salad. This was cleaned from the asparagus. So I like to use romaine lettuce.
Okay.
Okay. There's many other varieties out there. A lot of Italians use arugula,
Okay.
which gives it a nice bite. And I'm going to just chop this up.
Well, romaine is supposed to be better than, like, I was surprised that iceberg has no nutrients in them.
Icebergs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's actually makes for a very good salad, believe it or not.
Icebergs?
Yeah, iceberg. And in my family, in the Italian family, they use the iceberg a lot. And, I mean, a lot, and arugula, which gives, like I said, is probably gives a great flavor to a salad.
Well, I'll tell you this, my husband being the green thumb, he's made 6 different types of lettuce, so it's been great that I've been picking it, and it's so much lighter, the leaves.
Oh, because you're making your own? You're
Yeah,
in your
he's
garden?
grew 6 different types of lettuce.
Doing the salad, so we have our salad, and then I like to put in our salad almonds.
Okay.
I mean, not almonds, excuse me, walnuts. Okay. I consider this a very healthy salad. We have that, but
Well,
I
that's called
do-
protein.
Yeah, protein here, and I do like my gorgonzola.
Okay?
Can't get away from it. You gotta love
Well,
that.
it gives the flavor.
Yeah, so we can put that in there. And I'm going to use this, okay? This, now look already how lovely it looks.
Sure.
Now, you could put tomatoes in here, and the reason why I don't put tomatoes in when I'm cooking a pasta sauce, I just can't, because I'm already having tomatoes.
Right.
It just doesn't seem to work well for me. Now, I put some cranberries, nice cranberries, which is very healthy. And I will now take, I don't do salt. I don't do any salt because of the gorgonzola cheese. There's enough salt on that. But I will take the black pepper,
Okay.
and I put your black pepper. And you know what the Lord says, getting back to my daughter, but the Lord says we take care of the widows and orphans of this world. And, it was the greatest joy to know that I took care of one of God's orphans.
Right.
And I know
Oh, yeah.
yourself,
Yes.
yourself, you've had that, your background is.
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we're here to take care of each other
Right.
and love one another.
Right.
And, but God does meet your desires of your heart. Look at you now here,
Oh, what a blessing. Yeah.
I mean, you're doing this. I'm going to put a little bit more different oil. It's not enough olive oil at all. I'm going to take that top off in a minute.
We just got a
little
couple
balsamic
couple more
vinegar.
minutes here. We
Yeah.
gotta wrap it up. Yeah.
Balsamic vinegar, olive oil. I'm going to take the top off of this because you need a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay? Firstly to me. They call it a giambotto.
Okay.
Everything's a mixed up here. So this should
Delicious.
be, this should be the salad. You mix this up nice. Now, what I'm going to do,
So we're gonna put it over here.
I'm going to put it over here. Okay. And this should not, it's not
I
even hot.
bet you right now our guest is,
So now, as we place it right on top,
mouth is probably watering.
I just want to make sure we don't lose any of this. And we're going to mix this all up. But look how gorgeous that looks. Come
Looks-
on, you
yes,
gotta love.
delicious is right.
It's a
gorgeous
beautiful
and
thing.
delicious.
Yeah, sometimes
Beautiful
I like
colors.
to sing a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
Haven't shown you that side of me yet. You gotta enjoy cooking. You gotta have
Oh,
fun
yeah.
with it. You know?
Not so much the cleaning part, but yeah.
You have to have fun with it. And I'm gonna use a little more sauce, but that's okay. A little bit more of the basil here.
Right.
Fresh basil.
Sure,
I'm gonna
pretty.
make you up a plate.
Yes.
Okay, and
And I know that you have a little grated cheese here too,
Yeah.
you said, right?
one thing that didn't go in, which you can sprinkle if you'd like,
Yes.
you can sprinkle a little hot pepper on it to give it a little bite. Have a spoon.
All right. Okay.
So this is what we have here.
And it's, last time actually I was mentioning is that flaxseed. That's what I'll have after this, because to mix that
Well-
with the carb as well.
Oh, the flaxseed is good. You can
Yes.
put on anything flaxseed.
Yes.
You have to desire the flavor
Right,
for it. It's
right.
very healthy for you, but I know you love your
There isn't
flaxseed.
much taste to it. It's just actually pretty
But if you're
bland.
going to use any cheese, personally, to me, I like Alugatel grated
Right.
cheese. That is my favorite. I use it for everything. I'm not saying I don't use the other cheeses that are
Right.
out there, but I think it gives for a better flavor. So let's
So
see what you
thank
think.
God for thy food.
It could have, it's.
And
very
like I
good.
said, I know my camera people, I hope they're being proud of me this time. Actually, it took because the fact that the food was a lot, ready earlier. Okay.
Pull on it.
Nice flavors.
Nice flavors.
Delicious.
You're enjoying that?
Yes.
Very
Uh-huh.
good. Well,
My
thank you.
favorite.
This
I
was
love
wonderful.
this.
This was wonderful, and it's my pleasure to be able to cook for you. Mm-hmm. And I hope everybody will be able to get to enjoy this themselves at home.
Taste the salad. I always
Yeah.
like
And it's
salad.
very healthy.
Yeah.
Using the right pastas makes everything healthy.
And again, it's I have to learn, but it's moderation. It's just that I think I just have the Asian genes.
Well, you tend to like Italian foods now. A lot, right? Well,
Delicious.
this was wonderful.
Yes. No, thank you so much.
I would have sang for you, but that's okay.
30
The
minutes goes pretty
singing
fast.
cook, the singing cook,
But
singing chef.
I always like to
Yes.
thank my guests, okay, and I like to give them an inspiration that God blessed me with. And I chose today's a gift for you. Inspired Blessings Books and Prints at gmarieprints.com. Because we were talking about fear, so it has talking about fear. So there's many trials that you come across in your life, and God willing, hopefully lighter ones, to continue.
Exactly.
But it's called Today's a Gift. As you wake up on this morning, may you realize what a blessing it is to be alive. Let this day be a new beginning for you and prioritize your life the way you desire to be. Put the past behind and let go of your fears. God has given you a choice between the path that could let you live in pain or the path to release you from it. If you do not allow the past to destroy your life, then you will have made treasured memories for the future, so you may reflect upon it one day. To make you smile when you're feeling sad, you may feel it is easier for others to tell you to let go because they haven't felt your pain. Ask God to help you take one day at a time, to hold your hand and guide you on the right path, so you may transform your heart and appreciate His gift, the gift of today. Begin enjoying your life in God's love by making each day a new beginning for the rest of your life. And this is
That's
the day.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And the sunset, too. I love that.
Thank you. And this is the day that the Lord had made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. So I want
Always,
to give you
always.
this.
I thank
and
you
I
so
thank
much. I was so blessed.
So Mary, I want to again thank you so much for coming on my show. And the
thank you.
food is delicious. And I can't wait to eat and finish in half seconds.
Well, it was a pleasure being here. I thank you so much. And I
Okay.
thank you for this wonderful gift I will treasure forever.
Thank you. And so I want to just thank you again for joining my show today. And again, my tagline is keep inspired blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are lost for words. Thank you and God bless.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.